College football got a new story recently.
Some massive news in the college football landscape. The Big Ten and the SEC. The SEC and the Big Ten.
The SEC and the Big Ten.
Announcing the formation of a joint advisory group are teaming up to try to reshape college sports.
Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man. Oh, God. Oh, man.
The joint advisory group between the SEC and Big Ten has the world asking one question.
Are we boned?
Yeah, we're boned.
People are panicking, and rightly so. The last time two superpowers like this teamed up, the world trembled and Poland got unalived. The general consensus seems to be that we're heading towards the SEC and Big Ten ditching the NCAA altogether and forming their own subdivision of football similar to the split between FCS and FBS back in 1978. The idea behind this is that the two leagues combine for a total of $1.86 billion a year in their media rights deals, according to Dave Rumsey of Front Office Sports. Alongside this is, of course, the on-field success of both leagues in the college football playoff era, with only one national champion in the CFP era coming from a conference outside of the SEC or Big Ten. TV ratings also show that in any given season, the top-rated games either come from one or both of the teams being from one of these two conferences. When looking at these factors, it doesn't look pretty for those of us on the outside looking in. However, it's not as simple as it seems, and for those of us with teams that are not lucky enough to make it into the lifeboat, well, tell them, Gandalf.
We may yet survive this.
But first, when I made my first video, I found out just how much time and effort goes into these. I had a bunch of different ideas for different videos, even ones outside of the college football world, branching into other interests of mine like niche histories of Texas towns, families, and disasters. But I wanted to see I guess you could call it a proof of concept first. I told myself I'd only make another video if I could just get 1,000 views on my first one. And, well, I definitely got more than that. So since you're here, please take the time to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I learned firsthand just how much little interactions like these mean to a video success, so it would mean the world to me. Now that that's over with, let's get on to the video. Reason number one, the SEC and Big Ten alone don't provide enough content to fill demand. However, wait for it, college football is more than the top 10 most viewed games in a season. We may like to think of it as a lifestyle or just a sport, but college football is an entertainment business, and just like any other business in the entertainment industry, it has to meet demand. In the current format, there are over 60 FBS games on every week, with practically all of them either being shown on linear cable or streaming. Over the 13 weeks of the regular season, that's over 780 games provided under the current format. Even if we discounted the streaming options and the weeknight games predominantly filled by conferences like the MAC or Conference USA, and instead only focus on Friday and Saturday games, that's 20 time slots a week, measuring over 260 in a regular season. If the SEC and Big Ten wanted to go it alone, they wouldn't be able to fill all these time slots as they currently stand. After adding their new teams, the SEC will have a total of 16 teams and the Big Ten will have a total of 18. That gives them a total of just 34 teams, meaning that there's a max of 17 games that can be played during any week in the regular season. That's also assuming that every one of these teams plays every week. There's no off weeks in this big boy league.
Get up, people. There's work to be done.
That means that even at their maximum capacities, and even with their higher ratings, the SEC and Big Ten wouldn't be able to fulfill the demand of their media partners. But there's a solution, I hear you say. Well, scroll back up in the comments section and get ready for reason number two. Running two leagues on TV at the same time doesn't work. You were thinking it, I was thinking it, the reptilian overlords were thinking about it.
So the song Shake It Off was about how I shed my skin every 1,000 years. And the song Bad Blood was about how I drink blood out of my Grammys.
Well, they don't need every game to be from the Super League. They just need the best games to be from there. And the rest of the time slots can be filled by what's left of the FBS. Hell, even throw the FCS in there too.
Those adorable little buggers.
Well, my strangely Australian friend. First I say, oh, look out for that emu! Got you there, didn't I? Second, I say, two different levels of football can't compete simultaneously, primarily because of the confusion from the general public as to what the hell is going on. We're nerds. One might say sickos for this content, and we probably could rattle off all the names of every Sunbelt team. But the general consumer? How do you expect them to get up to speed on the new separation between FBS and whatever this league is? You could say that they had to learn to do that last time they separated when FBS and FCS separated in the 70s, but that was before before all this TV nonsense started. All these teams have been competing on the same networks for years. All of TV football has been this format, and you're expecting people to now just learn a completely new system? That might work, but it's going to be very cost-inducive, and you're going to end up losing money. The SEC and Big Ten pride themselves on their team's network ratings. However, if you separated them from the rest of FBS, you wouldn't be getting multi-million viewers on every game you had because they would all be competing against each other. People would still pick whatever the best game is, or whatever they're dying to watch, or whatever team that they're actually loyal to. This isn't going to create multiple teams that are all pulling in millions and millions of viewers, because now they're all competing against each other. So yeah, you're still going to have the biggest brands pulling in more media than the rest, but that doesn't solve any of the problem. You're not going to be creating more demand if you do this. You're going to be shrinking it, only shrinking the amount of money that you could hope to get back. Instead, it would likely result in lower ratings for the non-heavy hitters in the industry, as most fans, contrary to what the industrial overlords' opinions might be, wouldn't have any reason to watch this league if their team isn't connected with it. This is because, unlike professional sports, college football and college athletics is tribal and often ferocious, as our friend Josh Pate recently found out.
There will be casualties, there will be people, there will be universities, there will be programs that have to fall along the wayside for the greater good of college athletics.
Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yes, the casual fan just sees logos he recognizes and tunes in for the game that the studio has been marketing all week. But the majority of college football fans watch the sport because they have a specific team, either because they went to that school, live in that area, or have some other connection with the institution. These two conferences might have the most popular brands, but the majority of fans are loyal to someone else, only watching these brands on the side along with the casuals once their team is done playing. And if the networks think that as soon as the SEC and Big Ten leave the rest of college football, people will just drop their lifelong team and pick up the nearest Walmart brand, they'll be looking at a Disney-level financial drop-off. Reason number 3, demand for college football is only going up, so the studios are going to want more games, not less. According to the president of Insights and Analytics at Fox, Michael Mulvihill, total viewing of college football across all networks is up 12% this year, and up 28% over the last 5 years. The NFL in the same time period, only a 7% increase in the last 5 years. Granted, the NFL's audience is larger, and the likelihood of college football surpassing the professional game in popularity, which hasn't been the case since before the NFL started putting games on TV in the late 40s and 50s, is very slim. Yes, I know that the first NFL game was televised in 1939, but the network is in its infancy and practically nobody in the country had a TV. Then we have to look at the real elephant in the room. Call it nostalgia or artistic brain rot, but TV, especially cable, is struggling right now. Networks simply aren't making bangers like they used to. The sitcom genre is practically dead as new pilots continue to flop and flop again. Serious late-night drama is losing out to the streaming giants making their own shows in-house. It seems like they just can't make anything to get people consistently to tune in anymore. But you know what does get people to flip on the remote?
Minnesota!
No, it's sports. Again, we like to think of it as something different, but sports are entertainment and damn near close to reality TV. So, the studios continue to hammer home and try and get as much out of this golden goose as they can. But the streaming giants are sitting this one out. Amazon is already dipping their toes into the water with their Thursday Night Football edition with a totally responsible investment of $11 billion. God, they're throwing this around for an experiment, and I'm just trying to get my student loans paid.
You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day over and
Networks we don't even think of as being involved with college football are jumping in too, because now, after you finish watching Gossip Girl, you can tune into the SMU Georgia Tech game presented by Snickers on the CW.
You're not you when you're hungry.
The historic powers response? Just a few days ago, on February 6th, ESPN, Fox, and Warner announced their intention to create a streaming platform together. ESPN and Fox together? But what could be the real driving force behind this? Who's the hidden overlord controlling everything? Well, dear viewer, not to spoil my next video, but of course it is...
Who's the asshole?
It's no secret at this point that the Disney company is on hard times. Their movies continue to flop, there's a shareholder push to change the composition of the company board, their main streaming platform, Disney Plus, is a bottomless pit of tax write-offs that can't even come close to breaking even, and for the first time in what feels like forever, their park attendance is declining. And what does their leadership continue to do? Find whatever is making money and squeeze as much out of it as you can. You like Marvel? Here's 1,000 TV shows and movies not written by AI, we promise. Like Moana? Here's a Rush sequel that was supposed to be a direct-to-consumer Disney Plus show that was converted into a full-length film. Like Toy Story? Woody and the gang are back for, oh dear God, for the 5th time? What are we even doing here, guys? Put me in charge. Just put me in charge. So, knowing this, why would these companies, who we all know are the ones really driving this ship, and what a job they're doing at it.
Keep going. You're good. You're good. You're good. And stop.
Why would they shrink their category of content when demand is continuing to go up? To the contrary, they're doing everything they can to lengthen and increase every ounce of blood they can squeeze out of any profitable turnip they can find. Look at what they've done with their most popular properties. Spin-offs, retellings, sequels, and oh god, so many sequels. Looking at this, they aren't going to want to shrink college football. They're going to shovel more and more of it at us, and we're going to gobble it up because we're good little consumers.
Merchandise, Morty. Your only purpose in life is to buy and consume merchandise. You didn't ask questions or raise ethical complaints. You just looked straight into the bleeding jaws of capitalism and said, yes, daddy, please.
And hey, I'm not saying that's even a problem. Some people say that we have too many games, but me, I want more. I want more Maction. I want more Friday games. More networks showing more teams and more stories. Strangely enough, this might be the one and only industry where their strategy of cranking the content creator to 11 and letting it rip actually works. There's even talks of conferences starting their seasons earlier, in what's currently week 0 or before, just to add another game or two to the schedule, squeezing out even more money. I'm not really behind that, because obviously there has to be some point where it's too much, but based off of this ever-growing demand, we aren't even close to being at that point. And this isn't even talking about the postseason, which continues to expand. This is similar to the arguments for going back to the BCS system or doing away with the concept of a playoff altogether. People can make as many compelling arguments as to the fairness of the sport that they want, but at the end of the day, why would the TV studios go from a system where they're continuing to make even more money and grow demand at the same time to then revert back to less games and less content for their audience? They were able to add more games to our plates and we ate it up, still asking for more. So why would they be willing to choose to go back and start making less money? So understanding this, what's the most likely outcome? I'm not naive enough to think that this alliance isn't going anywhere, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that it won't crash and burn. Alliances of this size typically fall under their own weight, be it political, business, or athletics. Still, the most likely scenario to come out of this wouldn't be the SEC and Big Ten going out on their own and forming some pseudo minor league football association. It would be the two combining their resources and influence to control the current state of college football. Does that mean that they would lead a revolt against the NCAA? Maybe, but why pour your resources into that fight when you could exert your influence over a much easier opponent?
I'm in danger.
No, I'm not talking about them destroying the playoff committee. That would take too much work. I'm talking about something close to an internal takeover of a corporation by a section of the board members. Do they kick out the other board members? No, there's not really a need to. It's far easier to just change the rules and steer the direction of the company in whatever direction it is that you want it to be.
Are we absolutely sure what direction we're going?
Well, what direction would that be? What else could these Goliaths of media want? That, dear viewer, is easy. They're going to push for a restructuring of the playoff format, most likely by pushing for the removal of auto bids altogether. If that happened, and the teams selected for the playoff were simply selected by committee, a committee dominated by this alliance, they could get what they really want, for the playoffs to be made up of 5 to 6 teams from each of their conferences every year. This would ensure that the regular season would stay intact, with their teams continuing to be the highest viewed games of the year. Then, in the postseason, the games on the largest stage of the sport would be dominated by their conferences, garnering even more media money and continuing the cycle, solidifying their dominance and ensuring that the evil empires can live for another year.
Yeah, it's like poetry, it's what they want. They want. They want.
But what do you think? Would this be better or worse for the sport than the two leagues just packing their toys and going somewhere else? Be sure to comment below and let me know. Thank y'all again for all the support and encouragement. My next video is going to take on another topic outside athletics, and I can't wait to see what y'all think. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.